Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
Welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk. How's everybody been this weekend? I mean, this week.
It's been a long week.
Yeah,
So,
it's been a long,
short week.
So I developed a severe illness this week. I got the DIVOC. That's been going around since the pandemic started. I think it was very good for my mental health though, because this time I felt like I was on the verge of death. And then when I felt better, I was like, mine's a little bit clearer now.
Well, I am so sorry you've been sick. I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Mike.
Hey guys, but I hope I didn't get Nick sick. I was at work with him half a day one day this week, and he said he's feeling the crud. I hope you feel better, buddy.
He said you're a giver.
Yeah. Does he know where you live? That's the question.
Well, I also had a kidney infection too. So, I had my bones raking and stuff. I guess it was Tuesday, and I went to the bathroom. And if you've ever had severe kidney infection, your urination is like Dr. Pepper, and it barely comes out. And I was like, man, I think I might have a severe infection now, So I went home and finished out the day, and I went to the urgent care. I had a kidney infection, and I also had COVID. I was like, great. This is awesome.
Not good.
If you're going to do it, go all in. That's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, see, that just tells me you've got initiative.
Yep. So that's how my week was. But what are we going to get started with today?
Did you guys have any funnies? If you didn't have a funny, I brought one.
No, I didn't.
I kind of got
everything I read was depressing.
Anyway, are we talking about the 1,000-pound?
No,
we ain't talking about her.
We will later, but this isn't about that.
All right, good deal. Let's roll then.
So this is related. We're going to be talking about multiple cases of mushrooms this week. But so the funny of the week is a pilot broke his silence after months after he tried to shut down a plane's engines midair while high on mushrooms. The off-duty pilot who attempted to shut down the plane's engines mid-flight after taking the psychedelic says that his marriage has improved following the incident and that he hopes to fly again one day. Speaking about the incident in last October, this week, Joseph Emerson took responsibility for his unfathomable actions. And he said that he hoped sharing his story would help the conversation around pilots' mental health. So he was sitting in the cockpit's jump seat during a flight from Seattle to San Francisco and attempted to shut the plane's engines off by pulling the engine fire handles. He later attempted to pull the emergency exit lever, but was tackled and detained and restrained by the flight crew. He was indicted on 84 charges relating to the incident, but avoided being indicted by a grand jury for attempted murder. In the new interview, he recalled feeling trapped and how nothing felt real. And he claimed that he took them several days before this happened for depression.
Several days?
I don't think that was microdosing, though. And if I'm correct, microdosing is the key to using it for mental health.
Yeah, I think that's just an excuse. But if you watch the interview, he actually is smiling during a lot of this, too. So I don't know. I think he just took a handful of mushrooms and thought it would be okay and then started geeking out while he was in the air.
I was microdosing, dude. I only took like ounce.
Yeah. 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 So that's not the only story about mushrooms we're gonna be talking about today. But before we get into a lot of the stuff, if you don't already follow us wherever you're watching us, please go ahead and hit that follow button. We don't plug a lot until the end of the show. So I'm gonna say up front, if you're watching us and you don't follow us, follow us.
Follows.
Flick
that follow button and rub that notification bell.
But so I owe everybody the story about the billionaires that died on the yacht.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought the Cliff Notes version, just so we can blaze through that. So it was Mike Lynch that died. He was a billionaire that he founded a company called Autonomy, which is a search engine. He then sold the company to HP, the computer company, for $11 billion. HP gets all the numbers, financial information, everything back, and they're like, whoa. The numbers ain't numbering. So they go back to Mike and say, you falsified the numbers.
Sweet.
Well, Mike and his team tells HP to kick rocks. HP then takes a $4 billion loss and starts suing Mike. HP wins the civil case, but Mike and his team get acquitted of the criminal case just a few weeks ago. Well, as you know, last week or the week before, Mike and his daughter are on their super yacht, and here's where the irony kicks in. They're on their yacht to celebrate winning the criminal case, and it mysteriously sinks and they die due to a freak water spout, but the crew survives. And the same week, the co-defendant of Mike, Stephen Chamberlain, who was the VP of finance for Autonomy, was fatally struck by a car while he was jogging.
It was a car spout.
It was a car spout.
And those coincidences ain't coincident.
I wonder if like there was one of those boats that gangsters ride that cruised up on that yacht, and it was like, we got a package from Amazon for you. Like, and it was like a 3D printer, you know?
Yeah.
Like what magnet, like a magnet for the spout.
Yeah, the drone or something, like just drops ink cartridges that were the locator.
So did they find their bodies?
I think they did. I think they found their bodies.
So I guess the crew people like held on to stuff and the water spout didn't take them off.
Yeah, I didn't grab all the crew details, but
no, that's fine. I just, find it.
If you kind of think about it, the crew would have probably been more equipped to handle something like that in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, water spout, and then
Yeah.
they was probably standing there with champagne, like, oh, water spout,
Oh, isn't that cool?
Well, and yeah, I don't know.
Sucks.
Like if you just try to search Mike Lynch, his Wikipedia, I think now reads that he was a con man.
No.
and I'm just like, they really did this guy like, I mean, he did them like a dog, but that really was like the end of Casino, right? Like they might have not got legal justice, but they sure got some justice, I believe.
You know what that was? That was God, punishing a billionaire for screwing other billionaires the way it should.
Why doesn't he not screw billionaires for screwing the rest of us?
Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to pay him.
Right?
That's horrible.
So
I hate to hear that, anybody loses their life.
For sure.
But that's fishy. Anything like that's just weird.
Speaking of loss of life, I'll tell one more and then you guys can take it over. This one was my favorite maybe for the week. Back to Kim Jong-un, our favorite communist
leader,
crazy person. So he executed 30 public officials for failing to stop disastrous floods and mudslides.
I mean, who else is
Maybe he's microdosing too.
So several media outlets reported that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered the execution of up to 30 officials, allegedly due to their failure to prevent devastating floods and landslides. They resulted in approximately 1,000 deaths, and the executions reportedly took place last month. Although the identities of the executed officials remain undisclosed, the North Korean Central News Agency reported that the secretary of the Chigang province was among the leaders removed from their positions. So yeah, I mean,
don't they also punish your family when you do something and get punished
like
over
3
there?
generations? Yeah.
Yeah. So Kim Jong came out and said that this was just false rumors, and that he accused South Korea of that this was a deliberate smear campaign. But I mean, these countries over there, even their allies, China is known to do stuff like that. Like, what was it in 1996? China, they basically had a Challenger situation to where a rocket went down, and Americans were present, and they filmed it and saw where the rocket went down, and they reported. I think China originally reported that there were people present on the rocket, and then they later reported that there weren't people present. So it went from like 4 casualties or something to like no casualties, but it turns out that the rocket actually landed in a village and killed thousands of people.
Yeah.
And they completely covered it up because of, I guess, Geneva would have shut down their space program.
I mean, that you gotta look at the positive side of things, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Just focus on the loss of thousands of lives all the time.
All I'm saying is, like, these dictator leaders, of course they're not gonna admit to it. They throw tantrums. I mean, that would be like, just imagine like you as a leader of a communist country, and someone pisses you off that day, and you just decide you're going to execute 30 people just because.
I mean, if it was my option, I wouldn't do that. But
then they show him showing off the new, hey, come to visit us. We've opened our border.
Yeah. This is your premier tourist destination.
I'm extremely surprised that he didn't have a green screen behind him and film and be like, here he is. Like, right here. Like, just
with him photoshopped back there.
Yep.
Somebody looking like Minecraft walking on the screen.
I could get a job over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If everybody didn't catch that the other week, that was the news recently from Kim Jong, was that they're about to open back up for tourism. So not only can you visit their fake supermarkets, but you could go to their public executions whenever they need to get rid of people.
They do charge extra for that viewing. Just
do they really?
Yeah.
How
Got
much
to pay an extra 25 yen.
Oh, that's
I think they use yen there. I could be totally wrong.
I'm just thinking, like, if you applied that logic to everything, like every time a tornado touched down, you just execute the public officials in that county because they weren't storm ready enough.
It's a North Korean won.
That would be one way to get our leaders in line.
Well, yeah, I guess it's one thing.
It was us doing it,
If you've misused your tax money that was supposed to like flood proof your city, then yeah, that may be a good way to deter people from misusing funds going forward.
So you can't translate the North Korean won into a US dollar. But the South Korean won It's 0.00075 of a US dollar.
So you could see that 25 won for a quarter.
Wow. I'm gonna save up $1,000 and move to South Korea.
Well, I don't know. Like I'm sure it's even more different in North Korea because of how poor they are. Maybe the best way to do that is to translate like what's the Chinese currency? Yen.
Yen.
Maybe
$1,000 is 1,337,260 South Korean won.
So maybe do a Chinese yen to how much North Korean currency, and then back into the dollar that way versus the yen.
This is too much research.
What's math? That's a lot of math on a Friday night. Okay, well here you go. I ended up finding one, Tully.
Let's hear it.
Okay, there's a real estate listing in California that's getting a ton of attention. It's half a house for $500,000. In Monrovia, the house was struck by a fallen pine tree back in May, leaving only half the house standing. It's now listed for $499,999. And the agent has it listed as an open concept floor plan. Half a house for $500,000.
That's awesome.
That's nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there is real estate available in California if you're interested.
People complaining there ain't no houses. There's your house.
There you go.
That reminds me of a strange story. I don't know if I've told you all this or not. As you all know, my grandmother died, earlier in the year. She always says she never wanted her house to be empty. The initial idea was to just padlock the house and leave it be like it was, 2 days after she passed away, though, a tree fell through my uncle's house. So now he has to move into it.
Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Ain't that wild?
Huh? Grandma has spoken.
Yep. I was like, well, if you don't take that as a sign, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Exactly. There you go.
Cecil, do you want to cover the 1,000-pound update?
Oh, yeah. Let me find her on here. I've got one thing that I want to read. I ain't even read it yet. I see it. I'm going to save that. So, if you're like my wife and avid fan of 1,000-Pound Sisters, the sister star Tammy Slayton picked up Amy's children this week. You know why? Do you know why?
Because Amy messed up.
Amy messed up. She was arrested on drug and child endangerment charges. Reality star Amy Slayton has been released from police custody now, and her children were picked up by Amy's sister and 1,000-Pound Sister co-star Tammy. Now, Tammy does look good now, given that she went years without being able to get the surgery. She's dropped a lot of weight. Good for her. A law enforcement source confirmed Wednesday that Tammy picked up the two children after Amy was taken into custody Monday, September 3rd, on drug and child endangerment charges at Tennessee Safari Park Zoo in Alamo. I didn't even know there was Alamo, Tennessee. That's weird. The source cannot confirm whether the county should. This is just saying they can't confirm where Tammy picked the kids up. Who cares? She got them. But Amy, who's 36-year-old, was arrested. Where's the good stuff at? This is just going back over to everything. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. She filed for divorce. Blah, blah, blah. She was released on $10,000 bond on the afternoon of Tuesday. So she spent all night in there. That's good. She was with a dude who they were picked up by. And after they were released, they were picked up by her brother, Chris. This makes no sense. Basically, what happened was she was at this zoo, got bit by a fucking camel, and then when the cops showed up, they was like, ooh, that smell. And it turned out they had weed and mushrooms. They had 80 grams of weed, which I don't remember, like, how much that is, but ain't that like
That's a lot of grams.
Several ounces.
Oh, it's like
28 grams in an ounce.
Well,
Oh,
I can tell you that she's definitely in deep.
I thought it
because-
was like 420 bags.
Okay,
Because
hang on.
the police discovered what they believed to be mushrooms, and any amount of mushrooms is like a automatic prison sentence.
Yep. So I hate to tell people like Mandy, but there might not be a new season of 1,000-Pound Sisters.
So I feel bad because it was Amy's brother Chris that had to come get him.
Yeah, I feel bad for Chris. He's always a good one.
Chris is a nice guy,
Yeah.
or he seems like it anyway. But they said that the charges and allegations referenced are merely accusations of criminal conduct and not evidence, and that the defendant is presumed innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt and convicted through due process. But I would say if they had mushrooms, they are royally FUCT.
A quarter pound is 112 grams, so it's under a quarter pound.
Yeah. It ain't that much. But Amy, not Amy, but Amanda, her sister, shared a cryptic message on Facebook from the Midnight Mom Devotional Facebook group. Tonight we pray for a mama who needs to know it's all going to be okay. Lord, she has so many situations where she needs you to intervene, but she has one thing that often comes to the surface of her heart and causes her to question if she's going to be all right. So everybody's still rooting for her. Let's find a good picture of her.
I'm just like, I get it. Like if she was going out with her new man or something to have a good time, but when the kids are involved,
Leave the shrooms at home.
yeah, leave it until you're on your own and you're only responsible for yourself.
Oh, look, I knew a girl that got picked up, passed out in her car with a needle in her arm, and her 3-year-old in the back seat.
That's her mugshot right there. Yeah. She don't look like she's on shrooms. You think it might have been like a seller situation? Maybe.
Could be. It depends. Like, I don't know. I mean, you don't know a lot about the guy that she was with either.
Or is it like one of those situations when you're 18, like, hey, we're going to the fucking safari zoo. Let's get high on some shrooms.
Now, I will say that her saving grace could be that if the dude takes responsibility for owning all of that, like, because if he's like, that's all mine, then she probably won't catch charges.
Fair enough. But how respectable are people now to do that nowadays?
I don't know. You see it sometimes on these police shows where people usually it's the people who don't have a lot of felonies in their past and stuff.
No, people with a lot of felonies do the smart thing and they run away. You don't stick around.
But maybe the most mind-numbing story that hey Steven, maybe the most mind-numbing story of the week: a Florida surgeon mistakenly removed the patient's liver instead of their spleen, causing them to pass away.
That was the most ridiculous thing I've heard this week. I don't even like. Didn't they just do it? And he's like, "Oops," and just let him bleed out. Like basically,
yeah. They tried to say it was because his spleen was swollen and it was abnormal and it shifted. But a lawyer for the man's widow alleges that William Bryan, who is 70 of Muscle Shoals, Alabama, he was at Sacred Heart Emerald Coast Hospital in Miramar, Florida, because of the spleen abnormalities. But I guess that it was from an injury that was currently involved in a law firm. It was Zarzar Law that was representing him in Pensacola. So that's kind of strange. Like he's involved in litigation, but
I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be. I'm not a surgeon. Don't claim to be. But wouldn't a liver and a spleen look a lot different? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says
Even
that
swollen, they don't look the same.
it says the surgeon proceeded with the surgery, transected the major vasculature supply in the liver, causing immediate and catastrophic blood loss. He labeled the removed liver specimen as a spleen, and it wasn't until following the death that it was identified that the organ removed was actually his liver as opposed to the spleen. The surgeon told Beverly Bryan that her husband's spleen was so diseased that it was 4 times bigger than normal and had moved to the other side of his body. But in the typical human body, the liver exists on the opposite side of the abdomen and is much larger than a spleen. The hospital said in a statement on Wednesday that it's performing a thorough investigation and takes allegations like this one made by his family very seriously. But I mean, here's the thing. It sounds like that this could have been a result of a work injury. And if the dude stood to make a ton of money, how easy would it? And, you know, this is all make believe that we're talking right now, but how easy would it be to slap some money in somebody's hand and be like, make it look like an accident?
well, what you just said kind of throws me. The liver's on the opposite side of the spleen and 4 times larger. So this person went into the side that the liver's on, and said, "Hey, that spleen looks like a liver."
Well,
and just cut it out.
The surgeon his testimony was that the spleen was much larger and it was on the wrong side of the body. So that there's basically, he's saying that there was 2 things that looked alike on the same side of the body, and he just picked one.
Can I share this?
Mode this shit?
Can I share this?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me see. Present.
That's what you do in a fucking surgery. My mama told me to pick the best one.
Okay. That little bitty thing over to the side, that's the spleen. The little pink thing over to the right. That huge thing above it is the liver.
So it definitely could be a hit job. I mean, I would believe hit job before mistake.
Yeah. I mean, they're not even the same color.
I mean,
they're
if
not
it's
shaped
swollen,
the same.
if it's swollen, then the color could be,
Okay, true enough. But even 4 of those would not be as big as one liver.
At this point, for this doctor's sake, I really hope it was a hit job, because if it wasn't,
then he's just a dumbass. That's what we're saying. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to do.
I'm sure that William wasn't the only person that's ever had an abnormal spleen, and this is the only time in recent recorded history where somebody's removed a liver instead of a spleen.
Well, and you can't put a big X on it like you do when you're having knee surgery and stuff.
Right.
Because they do that when you go in for, surgery on external parts. As the patient, a lot of hospitals have you mark this one,
What you do in a situation where you're not sure,
ask
stick them back up and go at it again a different day. I mean,
yeah. Well, I guess since we're already tickled, I got to tell you guys. So you remember a couple months ago when everybody was just like completely decimating Chipotle?
Yeah.
So Starbucks, in all their infinite wisdom, has hired that Chipotle CEO as their new CEO. Oh, the guy that's like, you just got to go in and give a head nod after he drove the company into the dirt. You know what I mean? So in his new role, his name's Brian Nickel. He has been given a private jet to commute 1,000 miles daily between his home in California and his Seattle office. So not only did he run it into the ground, but this man has been given a raise to come over and do the same thing to Starbucks.
Now, with all due respect, I hate Starbucks.
I do too, but a
Starbucks.
lot of people love it.
I hate Starbucks so much that I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee. Then I'll drive to Starbucks and sit in their lobby and drink it.
What's hilarious about this is how tone deaf everybody is. Like the old CEO before him at Chipotle were like, look, we're just giving food. And that's back when portions were huge and affordable. And then this dude comes up a couple months ago and is like, portions haven't changed. Prices haven't changed. He's like, you just got to give a little nod. And, and people were going in. And the employees were so sick of people going in and like being like that. Like all your CEO says, we just got to give a little nod. And
I'm gonna start doing when I go to the fucking KFC. Be like, huh?
And here's how tone deaf Starbucks is. Here's what they said. Brian Nickel has proved himself to be one of the most effective leaders in our industry, generating significant financial returns over many years. We're confident in his experience and ability to serve as the leader of the global business and brand, delivering long-term, enduring value for our partners, customers, and shareholders.
So you're telling me I better go on and get my ass to Dunkin' and get used to the taste of their chai?
Yeah. Because not only will portion come into play, but like I said, he also drove Chipotle into the ground when it comes to pricing too.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like what, $7-8 for a burrito or a bowl, and now you go to Chipotle for 2 people and it's $30 for half the food.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, here's you a good one. Hang on. I want to make sure I have the name correct. Kelly Cunningham has always wanted to be a mother, but without a baby of her own, the New York native is now breastfeeding her dolls.
What?
Well, evidently, Ronkonkoma is where she lives. She bought what's called a reborn doll. They look like real kids. Oh my God. It's weird.
Yeah. Those are the dolls. There's this lady who couldn't part with her dead cat, and she put her dead cat in one of those dolls and carries it around.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
So anybody who owns those dolls are weirdos automatically.
Yeah. It reminds me of, I watched like a season of The Servant, I think it was, on Apple TV. It was an M. Night Shyamalan. So, it's hit or miss with him.
Very.
But it was at first, you really don't know what's going on. Spoiler alerts. But this woman and her husband lose their child, and she's not handling it well. So her psychiatrist, suggests they get her a doll to kind of ease her away from the child. And it doesn't go at all like they expected it to, because, she's seeing a live baby and her family's talking in the back going, man, we've got to do something. So they each actually hire a nanny, and the nanny plays right along into it. So being what it is, you don't know if this is a real baby, a doll, or something somewhere in between that's possessed. And I never got past the first season, but it was one of those real dolls, and they're just creepy. They're so damn real looking.
I kind of get it. Like the people that no, I mean, like really, like people that can't have kids, they substitute not being able to have kids with inanimate objects, cats, dogs.
I think breastfeeding dolls.
She was 27 years old and unmarried.
Yeah.
I think breastfeeding dolls is probably where you draw the line on insanity, dude.
It gets better. It gets better.
My thing is, how do people find out about it?
Well, there are pictures of her in the Cater's News in her area.
The thing
She did
about it is, if you're going to do that, do it,
Mhm.
but do it privately. Like, you don't want a bunch of people to find out you're doing that. Like, everybody's got weird shit they do at home. You know,
But very few people know about our weird shit, Cecil, because
exactly.
But it does get better. After she got the first one, she just couldn't explain it, but her maternal instincts came out. She spent a week buying clothes, got the doll. It's on bed and it's in her room. Now she has 7 kids, all real dolls that she breastfeeds. Well, no, I take that back. The older one, no. The older ones, she has come up with her own formula because the formula real doll sells just isn't good enough. So she makes her own formula for the older ones.
Steven's comments cracking me up.
But I mean,
and her father said it was normal to have a desire to be a parent now that she's in her late 20s.
fair, yeah.
And she says that these dolls are so much like real children. Why go through the problems that you get with real kids? And she doesn't have to deal with infertility, with infant loss, with dementia. That's the one that gets me is, they throw that they don't have to worry about dementia. Yet,
like I said, people do weird shit in their house. Like I'll run around here holding a vacuum cleaner between my legs, naked, like a witch, screaming I'm flying to inner earth. Like, I don't care. But nobody knows I do that besides Mandy. Like,
evidently there's this whole reborn community that they have online groups and stuff, and they frown upon breastfeeding your dolls.
That's no weirder to me than the red hat ladies. I mean,
Well, I just want to say this is a phenomena of the internet, like furries. Like before the internet, furries were probably out there, but now that there's like Reddit groups they can get in, they're all getting together and they have furry communities. And before you know it, you're probably going to have these real doll breastfeeding Discord groups. You know what I mean? Like we are in a time of brain rot, like literal brain rot when it comes to social norms.
I mean,
she did end this story with.
I've got another example of this after this.
Yeah, ever since she was little, she always dreamed of being famous for something and being a success. And that she has succeeded in that because she currently has 23.7 followers on TikTok.
Good for her.
Yeah, she could. She could literally like start an OnlyFans or something for people to watch her breastfeed her baby dolls.
And there's
like
that's what it is, dude. There's people that's doing that on Facebook. That's exactly what. There's people that's doing this on Facebook. I just now thought about it.
Here's the other thing.
Somebody was telling me that they're using fake dolls and popping their thing out so that they can show their breast on Facebook.
She actually takes dolls out to restaurants and stuff with her in public.
I do that. I mean,
so
that's nothing.
So anyway, I'm going to end it there and let Tully take over.
Yeah, here's another example of brain rot that everybody who's listening probably has already heard about. But if you haven't, this week, people found a viral infinite money glitch with Chase's ATMs.
What the fuck, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So the U.S. banking giant stated that it was aware of a now viral scheme that took off on TikTok. Chase Bank customers were shown knowingly depositing a false check into their bank account and then immediately going to an ATM to withdraw a portion of that recently deposited money. The withdrawal was exploited as a delay in Chase's internal balance checking system, and reports indicate that people were on TikTok celebrating with large swaths of money and that their glitch was working. Unfortunately for those people who participated in this scheme,
Fucking checks bounced.
they don't just give out free money, and everybody started showing negative balances as a result of what they were doing. And it is in fact not a glitch, but check fraud. And they are probably going to go to prison
for sure.
But there really was. There's people crying on TikTok because their accounts were like negative 20 grand. And they're like, I've already spent the money. and once you go down for check fraud, you will never be able to get a bank account again with any financial institution.
What you just said kind of triggered me. I'm surprised it didn't trigger you. That whole thing, I didn't even want the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't want it. Well, you still have it then, right?
Exactly. It's like, my account's in the negative. Well, where's the money? Like, just put the money back in and say that you're sorry for committing check fraud. But yeah, no.
I figured out this awesome glitch, dude. I just give them a fake check and then I get my money out.
So there were videos of Chase, and this is before I even knew what was going on. There were videos of people like 40 people deep waiting at the ATM to do this glitch to get free money. And they're literally just like rotten bad. It's like rotten bad checks. Like you just put it.
I had someone tell me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had someone tell me this.
I gotta tell this story though, but go ahead. Go. I used to do this, similar to this. There was a bank I used to bank with that if you bought something with your debit card, this has been a long time ago. Things are a lot faster. It could take up to 2 or 3 days for it to show. So, like, if I was low on gas and I was going to get paid in 2 or 3 days, and I had like $1 on my card, I'd go ahead and fill up, like, and pray that before it hit the bank account that I have money in there. You remember that?
Yes. And that's, I think you can still do that. And that kind of stuff is built into your contract whenever you open like a demand deposit account.
Yeah.
Because like now, you have the option to either be able to overdraw or not. Yeah. But at gas stations and stuff, it's a pre-authorization amount. So basically, if you didn't opt into overdraft, they would just hold your account negative. And as long as you are back in the positive within like 30 days, there wouldn't be any repercussions.
Do you remember them gas stations that put $100 hold on your shit whenever that piece pissed me off? I'm like, man, I got $2, dude. You put $100 hold on my shit.
Yeah.
But no, I actually had someone tell me yesterday that he just honestly felt if the government would go away, we would all do the right thing just because we're all good people. I'm like, I don't know where the hell you live.
Yeah, it would literally just turn into smaller clans.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everybody it'd be like the old days, like getting the bands back together of like old Scotland and stuff.
It'd be fun.
That, or it'd be like the zombie apocalypse, and you'd have dictators and all that stuff in little areas,
Yes. So, yes.
Call me the king of Hot Creek Hollow, baby.
Right.
So what are we talking about on Awakenings?
We are talking about Strange, Florida, Cecil's stomping grounds.
So that is in 15 minutes on Weird Realities Network. It's weird with a Y, and you can go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Check us out. It's definitely more of a little bit different show. But if you haven't ever came and chatted with us about some strange topics, do that. I don't know if we have any big shows coming up for Wearing the Folk, but we're working on it. We're working on some guests and different topics and stuff. We'll keep you guys posted week to week on when we're going to do the next Saturday show. Go ahead, Cecil.
Yeah, that works. I mean, come on out to Weird Realities Network. I hear you guys are going to have a special guest in that.
Yeah, we were supposed to have multiple special guests, but one of them can't make it tonight. So we're just gonna have one special guest, and then next week we may have multiple special guests.
Yep. And keep on watching us because we are watching you.
And if you want to support us any further, you can buy us a coffee. But thanks for watching us. Yeah. That way.